Hey, this is Notser, and we're the Tier 7 Premium Italian Cruiser, Abruzzi, on the map Two Brothers. On the map Two Brothers. And this was a piece of crap back in the day. Obviously, it's unreleased, work in progress, stats not final, but it was a piece of crap. Why was it a piece of crap? It's a Tier 7 light cruiser with low range, and previously it did not have access to a consumable, as you might notice on the screen, heal. It did not have heal. Instead, its loadout was hydroacoustic, defensive fire, and a scout aircraft. Now, in order to equip the heal, I don't know if you know this, but Wargaming have capped the number of consumables that can be equipped to a ship to 3. So there's a compromise. In order to get that heal, and oh, it so desperately needed this heal, you have to decide between defensive fire and a scout aircraft. So I knew I was going in with an aircraft carrier because these are some viewers who wanted a division, so I went with defensive fire. And that's sort of the trait. It has the ability to use tools. That's the Italian thing. Its HE is very mediocre in fire chance. I mean, it's going to be the worst in the game. When the Italian cruiser line, and maybe the battleship line as well, when it goes in, the HE shell is going to be the worst in the game. But hopefully they compensate with maybe AP shell overperforms in its velocity compared to most cruisers, and the ability to have unique, useful consumables is obviously attractive. So, team pushed the western flank. Looks like the enemy is pushing the eastern flank, so we need to keep this momentum going. Usually there are stragglers, and in this case, in New Mexico, who stay behind. Maybe a little bit too much behind. And all I'm trying to do is get in position where I can fire openly, either in the smoke as it's disappearing, get back here, or behind this giant little island. And we're going to try and set some fires. Now, the fire is mediocre, to say the least. I mean, like, really, really bad fire chance. Like baseline, it has, I want to say, 7%. It's just barely above an American destroyer fire chance, and if you're familiar, that's really bad. It's like 5 or 6 or 7. It's really bad. So don't expect fires. Although, let's be honest, I'm not a very lucky fire person. So I found a nice spot that I can fire over the island. It does have high velocity, so it won't be as effective. Notice I'm very far back, and of course, I should just play low fire chance ships. I'll actually get a higher than average fire chance when you consider that the ship doesn't do any fire, and when I'm playing a ship that actually needs to do fire, well, of course it's not going to happen. And we find the Citadel of the Atlanta a little bit easier than the Z39 that I played yesterday. We got the broadside of New Mexico with the AP. So the velocity is pretty good on the AP shells, and they get there quick. If you have good location, like the superstructure, well, it's going to stick in the ship and do great damage. The Italians are definitely an example of a ship line in the future that you need to switch very actively if you have the chance to locate your shells precisely on the superstructure. You should be firing AP 100%. If you can't, well, switch to HE, but you don't really want to fire HE. So yeah, the heal allows you to be more aggressive. This is a glass cannon, always has been, always will be, I think. But the heal is nice. It allows you to just feel a little bit more aggressive. Because of the Italian trait, it has so many consumables. I would expect Superintendent to be the #1 skill you can take as your level 3, bar none. It's a utility ship. It's probably the best support cruiser from a utility standpoint. It won't have access to radar, the line itself. But at a Tier 7, Hydro and defensive fire, that's pretty nice, right? Plus the heal. This is a Tier 7. If they like the design and it fits with it, I think they might potentially decide that, you know what, the Italians just need that heal to compensate for their abysmal HE, and it is terrible. It is just awful. And that sounds cool. This was a ship that I played once, hated it, did almost no damage, died in 2 or 3 salvos from 2 or 3 citadels, and, you know, just left the game to a ship that's honestly pretty fun. I think Heal itself, the tool, is such a vastly superior gameplay for cruisers. And I hope that Wargaming recognizes it and wants to expand on it, because I just think I can be more aggressive. We've got the broadside of this Soviet cruiser. We're doing pretty good damage. And I'm looking for another citadel. A little too high, because he is closing the distance. I need to drop the elevation a little bit so I can actually get to the citadel. Maybe a little bit more. And I think this is going to be the kill shot. No, friendly takes him out. But our team's pushing forward rapidly. I, of course, am escorting the friendly battleship. It's the Hood. He has defensive fire. I have defensive fire. Nothing's getting past our blockade. And that's pretty cool. And there we go. Perfect example. A single shell is barely making contact with my ship. Takes away 50% of the life. It's incredibly squishy. Incredibly squishy. It's more of an active maneuvering ship. And we're going to be actively maneuvering these shells into this broadside cruiser that pulled a Notser, if you know what I mean. Friendlies take them out. Of course, it's an easy shot. But yeah, the Abruzzi is pretty cool, especially with the Heal. I think that's a really attractive trait for any cruiser. I'm happy that they're adding it to the Prince Eugen. I'm going to try and make a video on that stuff, but I think Heal is, of course, a really big upgrade. A really big upgrade. Is it compelling for a player to want to purchase the ship when there's no mainline Italian cruiser? Well, I don't know about that one. I like light cruisers. I think light cruisers are far superior at dealing with the destroyer menace. Let's face it, it's a menace. Same as the battleships. However, there's not a lot of value there because you don't have a main line to train. But you will in the distant future. There's a tier 6 premium cruiser, the Diasota, and it doesn't have Heal, but it plays very similar. And I think with Heal, the Abruzzi is a superior experience. I do. Before, I felt like the tier 6 was just, you know, better because it came up against less competition that could really penetrate its hull and all that stuff. But now with the Heal, I really do feel like, you know what, I can be a little bit more risky. I can push forward. I can send my torpedoes. I haven't really talked about the torpedoes. They have a 12-kilometer range. It's similar to the French, though. There's only one launcher per side, so it's sort of an all-or-nothing thing. But it's a nice bonus that you can send torpedoes at such a vast range. You would be surprised how many times you get in a situation where they don't expect the torpedo because it's just so outside of the normal engagement ranges that it works, and it works quite well. Great angle on the torpedoes. Hopefully I actually get a chance to send torpedoes. My team's just doing such a great job pushing forward, and I love it when the teams are in a fleet action. It looks like a couple of my teammates are committed to capturing the enemy base, which is cool, and I'm committed to killing the enemies before that base is captured. Angle of fire feels pretty natural. Obviously the rate of fire is really nice. We're doing pretty great damage. We haven't gotten any torpedoes. If we got a torpedo strike, that would be another 10 to 20k. And it's got a pretty fast... Oh, it's very squishy. Oh, again, the Heal. Heal is nice. And just before we help finish off that cruiser, team captures the base. But I was very happy. Very quick ship. Could keep up with everyone. Very good team oriented. And look at my team. My division did a great job. Abruzzi, A+. Wargaming, thanks for listening. Adding the Heal. It's definitely unique. I can't really think of a cruiser at tier 7 that has a heal, so I appreciate that. It was a nice change. It was a needed change. It's much more exciting now. I don't have any issue with the ship. It's a tier 7 light cruiser, and it has heal. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.